You ever find yourself sitting in a classroom, looking at some complicated math problem and just thinking, seriously, when am I ever going to use this? Yeah, we've all been there. It's this nagging feeling that our whole education system is, maybe a little behind the times. Well, let's get into it, because the real story behind why we learn what we learn is actually pretty fascinating. So, let's ask the big question right up front. Is our education system obsolete? Well, it's kind of complicated. The subjects we're all still studying, math, literature, you name it, their roots go back hundreds, sometimes even thousands of years. And to really get why we're still doing it, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. Which brings us to this question. Why are we still spending our days on subjects that feel like they were invented in another era? The answer isn't just about memorizing stuff for a test. It's really about this incredible journey of human discovery.
Okay, so let's wind the clock way back. For most of history, education was not for everybody. I mean, there were no public schools. If you were a noble's kid, sure, you might get a private tutor. But for pretty much everyone else, learning was about your trade. Formal schooling? That was for a very small, very exclusive, and very powerful group of people.
The first real hubs of learning were actually religious places. So in Europe, you had Christian monasteries, and the main goal for the scholars there? Simple. They needed to be able to read the Bible in Latin. At the same time, over in the Islamic Golden Age, you had these incredible places like the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. And these are just buzzing with science, math, and philosophy.
Now think about how powerful one single idea can be. For centuries, scholars in Europe were stuck trying to do math with Roman numerals. I mean, look at that. It's a total nightmare. But scholars in the Islamic world had this huge advantage. Arabic numerals, which they'd adapted from India. And they had a secret weapon, the concept of zero. This one little invention, the idea of nothingness as an actual value, unlocked everything. We're talking algebra, trigonometry, the whole shebang.
So for a long time, all this amazing knowledge was basically locked away in these exclusive centers. But then, two revolutions happened back to back that just blew the doors wide open and really set the stage for the world of learning we know today.
It was like the perfect storm of innovation. First, in 1202, you have Fibonacci introducing Arabic numerals to Europe, giving people the tools for way better math. Then, around 1440, boom! Gutenberg's printing press shows up, which meant information could suddenly be copied and spread on a massive scale. And the final piece of the puzzle? In 1453, scholars escaping Constantinople brought all these ancient Greek and Roman texts with them to Italy. All of a sudden, Europe had new tools, new ideas, and a way to share them with everyone.
And to put the printing press into perspective, before it existed, a single hand-copied book was a serious luxury item. We're talking it could cost as much as a whole herd of cattle. So the printing press didn't just make books cheaper, it made knowledge accessible to so many more people. It was a complete game changer.
So now you have all this new information swirling around Europe, from advanced math to ancient philosophy. Society needed a new kind of place, a place that wasn't just about storing knowledge, but about organizing it, debating it, and actually building on it.
And that's where the university comes from. The original Latin word, universitas, is so cool because it doesn't mean a building or a campus. It literally means a community of scholars. And that's the key right there. It was always about the people coming together because they were passionate about learning.
And so these first great universities, Bologna, Paris, Oxford, they grew out of these religious communities. They started competing with each other, becoming these big hubs for philosophy and theology, each one trying to get the best thinkers and build up its reputation.
But here's a fun little twist. Two of the greatest minds of the entire Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, never set foot inside a university. So why not? Well, because back then, the most cutting-edge, groundbreaking stuff wasn't happening in academia. It was happening out in the real world, driven by very practical needs.
The Renaissance basically sparked this massive scientific explosion because of real-world problems. Rich patrons wanted amazing art, right? But to build a gigantic dome like the one in Florence, you needed some serious engineering. To sculpt a human body that looked real, you needed to understand anatomy, so artists literally started dissecting bodies. And to run a massive banking empire, you needed some pretty sophisticated accounting. Art and commerce were creating the demand for science and math.
So what does all of this history, from monks in monasteries to Renaissance art, have to do with your life today? Well, it brings us to the real and maybe kind of hidden purpose of school in the 21st century.
The brilliant physicist Richard Feynman absolutely nailed it with this quote. He said, "Education is not free. You have to pay attention." He's so right. The value you get from school isn't just about downloading a bunch of information. It's about what you do with it. I mean, let's be real. School can't just be a marketplace of facts anymore. Not in a world where, as one tech executive so cleverly put it, academic knowledge today expires faster than soggy instant noodles. I love that. By the time you graduate college, a lot of the specific facts you learned in your first year are probably already out of date. So, if school isn't about the facts, then what on earth is it about? It's about the hidden curriculum. Think of it this way. School is a simulation for life. It's the first time you're thrown into this complex system with a bunch of people you didn't pick, all operating under this kind of arbitrary set of rules. It's where you learn how to navigate social stuff. You learn how to deal with teachers you think are unfair. You learn how to compete on a team and how to work together on a group project. But the most important thing of all, you learn how to learn.
And this is really what it all comes down to. Education isn't about the software, the specific facts or formulas you memorize that will probably become obsolete. It's about building your human hardware. It's about developing the mental toughness, the resilience, and the core framework to process new information, adapt to whatever comes your way, and learn anything you want for the rest of your life.
And that's the real legacy of our education system. It's a training ground. So I'll leave you with this to think about. If school really is a simulation, what was the most important lesson it taught you for the real life that you're living right now?